Hey boys and girls, it's Mrs. Daly coming on for math lesson. In a previous lesson that I recorded, we talked about fractions. We talked about finding the fraction using the numerator and denominator, and we kind of introduced adding fractions. So today I want to review our anchor chart one more time about finding the fraction, and then we'll talk about adding and subtracting fractions and do some practice problems together, okay? So let's dive right in. I'm going to share my screen. And let me make myself a little bit bigger just to make sure you can see my beautiful face. Okay, so last time we reviewed the names, the vocabulary terms that we use when we talk about fractions. So the numerator, the number on part, the number on top is how many parts or how many pieces you have, and the denominator is the number on the bottom. That's how many the whole is. And remember, denominator and down start with the same letter D, so we know that the denominator is down on the bottom of our fraction, okay? So when we're finding a fraction, we look at how many pieces are all together in our whole first. So in this example, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces in this whole square. So that number goes on the bottom in our denominator. And then we count how many pieces are colored in, how many pieces are shaded. So in this example, there's 1 piece that's shaded red, and that would be our numerator, okay? For this example, it's kind of the same thing, except for we have 1, 2, 3 pieces all together on the bottom for our denominator, and 1, 2 shaded red on the top. So you read this 2/3 are shaded red, okay? The last example we have down here is when you have a group of things. So for example, Miss Daly said in the last lesson that if I had a group of cats and dogs and I wanted to know what fraction of my animals was dogs, I could count how many animals I have all together for my denominator, and then I could count how many dogs I had for my numerator and say, for example, if this is 1 dog and 3 animals, I would have 1/3 dogs, okay? So that's just a way of doing it in groups, okay? So in our last lesson, we also talked about adding fractions. So we looked at this example, and remember I showed you, and if you didn't watch, it's okay because we're going to review it now, but I showed you our number on the bottom, our whole number doesn't change, right? We just draw an arrow to remind us to just bring that number over. What we're really doing is we're counting how many pieces we have all together to get our answer at the end. So if I count how many pieces are in this one, I have 1, 2, and 3, and you'll see that gives me my answer here, 1, 2, and 3, okay? Same thing for the next example. Let me move this up. So I'm going to just draw my line to remind me that my denominator, my whole number stays the same. How many pieces are in my whole? So I bring my 3 over, and then I'm just going to count how many are red. 1, 2, and you'll see down here after the equal sign there are 1, 2 that are shaded, okay? So we did an example problem of adding last time, but before we go into adding, let's review subtracting, okay? Subtracting is very similar to adding. We are going to leave our whole number the same, so we still draw our arrow, okay? But now we're going to look at our smaller number. So this is our smaller number. We have 1, right? And we need to cross that off our bigger number because we're going to take a piece away. So let's pretend like this box right here is a cake, okay? And my cake has 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4. But then Miss Daly is going to eat 1 piece. I'm going to take it out of the cake because I'm going to eat it, okay? So when I eat it, I'm going to cross this one out because it's gone now, right? It's gone. I ate it. So then I want to know how many are left over, right? And if you listen, these are our same words we heard before when we were working on subtraction, right? It's the same key words. So how many pieces are left over? Well, I can count them now, right? 1, 2, and 3. And if you look, here are the 3 pieces that are left of the cake, okay? Let's look at another one. So here's my example. Now remember, what do we do with our denominator? Yeah, he just comes over, right? I'm not going to change him at all. He just comes on over because my whole pizza is still the same. It's still 3 pieces in my whole. But now I know, I look here, I see that I'm taking away. So I'm going to start with my small number and look, how many pieces do I have? 1, right? I have 1 piece. So now I'm going to go to my big number. I'm going to cross that many pieces off. Ready? Cross this off. So how many pieces are left? Yeah, just 1, right? So I'm going to write that 1 piece here. And you can see over here, I have 1 piece left, and there were 3 altogether. Okay. How do we feel? Kind of, yeah, it's a little tricky. So let's do some practice problems together. We're going to start with practicing our adding. We did that one last week, so we're going to go on to the next one, or in the last lesson, sorry. So we're going to do, we're going to read the problem, then we are going to find our fractions that go below, and then we'll do our work for adding or subtracting, okay? So first, let's read the problem. Emily earns money doing chores. She puts the money she earns in her money jar. She fills 1/3 of the jar with money from watering the plants. She fills 2/3 of the jar with money from washing dishes. What fraction of the money jar does she fill all together? What word did you hear that tells me what I need to do? Yeah, all my friends I see doing my special symbol for all together, and all together means I need to add them, right? So, and I can look right here, I see my plus sign, so I know I'm gonna add them at the end, okay? But let's figure out what fractions we have. So let me get my marker out. And remember, Miss Daly likes to figure out how many pieces are in the whole first, because I only have to count that number once. That number can go all the way across, right? So let's count how many pieces are in this jar. Are we ready? 1, 2, and 3. Beautiful job. And my whole number, is that my numerator on top or my denominator on the bottom? Denominator. Great job. You guys are remembering wonderfully. Okay. My denominator on the bottom is 3. So now I need to figure out how many pieces I have, how many pieces of the jar did she fill, right? How many pieces did she fill? So let's count how many pieces have coins in them. Are you ready? 1. Just 1, right? So I'm going to put my 1 on top. Excuse me. So this number is 1/3. So I'm going to go ahead and click the box, and I want you with your finger to find the number 1/3. 1/3 with your finger. Beautiful job. I see lots of my friends touching this number here with a 1 and then a 3. Great job. All right, I'm going to, I know my denominator is going to stay the same, right? Yeah, so I'm just going to erase my numerator, because we said when we were adding, our denominator goes all the way across the same, right? So my jar still has 3 pieces for a whole, but how many pieces have coins now? Let's count together. Ready? 1 and 2. Beautiful job. You try and make a 2. All right. So with your finger, can you find the number 2/3? 2/3. Beautiful job, guys. A 2 and then a 3. You guys got it. You're on it. Okay. So I know my denominator is going to stay the same, right? Because Miss Daly taught me to just move my denominator over. So I know I'm still going to need a 3, but I'm going to erase my numerator. So when we're adding, are we putting numbers together or are we taking away? Yeah, all together, right? That means how many are all together. So I need to put them together. So I'm going to count all my pieces up and see how many pieces I have, right? So let's count together. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Beautiful job counting. All right, 3/3 with your finger. Can you find that fraction for me? 3/3. Very good. And does anybody remember another way you could say 3/3? 3/3 is the same as what? Yeah, it's the same as 1 whole, right? I could write this like this. Those are the same thing, right? 1 and 3/3 mean the same thing. Great job. All right, let me clear all my drawings out. And I want you to help me find the jar, excuse me, the jar that had, whoop, sorry guys, I'm trying to move it so you can see it. There we go. The jar that has 3/3. 3/3 would be the whole jar is full. So which one is all the way full? Touch it with your finger for me. Yeah, beautiful job. The whole jar is full. Okay, how are we feeling about adding? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I see lots of thumbs up. Adding's usually pretty easy, right? Because we just count how many pieces are all together. All right. Let's practice one that's subtracting, okay? We're going to practice it together. Chris's money jar is full. He uses 1/3 of the money jar to buy a new shirt. What fraction of the money does he have left in the money jar? Okay. I heard a key word that we've talked about during subtraction. What word tells me that I need to take them away? Very good. Yeah, this word right here, where my little white arrow is pointing to, it's the word left, right? The word left tells me that I am going to take them away, okay? So here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to figure out our fractions. Then we'll do our taking away, okay? So let me get out my marker. And I need to know what my denominator is first. So how many pieces are in one whole jar? So let's do that first together. Because remember, once we count that once, it's the same all the way across our math problem, okay? So let's count it together. Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Denominator, is that on the top or down on the bottom? Beautiful, down on the bottom, because denominator and down both start with D. Okay. Now in this one, how many have money in them? Yeah, the whole jar is full, right? So it's the same number. 3 and 3 is the whole jar, right? So can you find that number in this blue box, 3/3? Touch it with your finger. Beautiful job. I see lots of friends touching this last one. And remember, 3/3 is the same as 1 whole, okay? 3/3. All right. Now I said that my denominator stays the same the whole way across, so I'm just going to erase my numerator. And then I'm on to the second one, right? How many pieces have money in them on the second jar? Let's count. 1. Yeah, just 1, right? That's easy peasy. So let me put a 1 on top. And can you, with your finger, point to the number 1/3? Beautiful job, guys. Beautiful. Okay. Let me go ahead and erase my numerator from my example over here. Now, let's talk about subtraction. Let's talk about taking away. Remember, when we take away, we're going to cross off the smaller number from the bigger number. So this is my full jar. It has more. So this is what I'm going to cross off of. But how many do I need to cross off? Well, let's look. How many are over here? 1. So I'm going to cross off 1 piece of my full jar, okay? Just 1. I'm going to cross off this top one. Okay, now I can count how many are left, because remember, this word left tells me that I took some away, right? So how many are left? 1 and 2. Good counting, guys. So 2/3. Let's see if we can find that. Can you find the number 2/3? Good job. Great job. 2/3. Okay. I'm going to delete all my drawings, and I want you now to look at your fraction here, 2/3. And of course it covered it up, so let me move this over. You're looking for the number. Ooh. Oh, goodness gracious, Mrs. Daly. There we go. Okay. You're looking for the number 2/3, and I will write it over here because it is covering it up. 2 pieces out of 3 altogether. 2 out of 3, 2/3. Can you find the jar that shows me 2/3? Beautiful job. Yeah, this one has 2 colored in and 3 all together. Great job. How we feeling? Thumbs up, I'm okay. Thumbs to the side, I'm not really too sure. Thumbs down, I am totally lost. Awesome. Okay, a lot of us are feeling pretty good. So let's try another example. Let's see. All right, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to read it, then we're going to find our fractions, then we're going to do our work, okay? Alex's money jar is 3/4 full of money. He uses 2/4 of the money to buy sunglasses. What fraction of money does he have left in his money jar? Okay, so let's look at our first jar, okay? Our first jar. Zoom in a little bit. And we're going to work on our denominator first, because when we find our denominator, we don't have to find it anymore, right? It's the same for the whole problem. So let's count how many pieces are in the whole jar. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good counting. So I'm going to put a 4 on the bottom. And then I need to know how many are filled in this jar. So I want you at home with your finger to touch and count how many pieces I have in this jar. I'm going to give you a minute. I want you to touch and count how many pieces, and then I want you to hold that number up with your fingers. If it's 3 or 4 or 2 or 1, however many pieces it is, I want to see it with your fingers, okay? So take a minute and touch and count how many pieces we have. I see lots of fingers up. Great job. So let's count together and check our work. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness, you guys got it. 3. Okay, so here's my first fraction. 3/4. 3 out of 4. So with your finger, can you touch the fraction 3/4? Great job. You guys are on fire. Okay. I'm going to erase my numerator because I don't need that one anymore. But my denominator is going to stay the same, right? Because my jar still has the same number of pieces. So now you're going to look at this jar, and I'll zoom it in so you can see it a little bit better. But oops, maybe. There we go. Okay. How many pieces are in this jar? How many pieces? So with your finger at home, I want you to touch and count and then hold up how many there are. Beautiful job. I see lots of beautiful fingers in the air. Let's count just to double check. Ready? 1 and 2. Oh my gosh, if you had the number 2 up, I want you to give yourself a big pat on the back because you're doing an excellent job. 2/4. Okay. Can you find the number with your finger? 2/4. Great job. I love all the hard work. Okay. So now I know, because Miss Daly told you, that this 4 just moves all the way over to the end. So I'm not going to change my denominator. I'm just going to erase my numerator. And I need to look and figure out what I'm doing, okay? So I see this, and I know this means take away. And then I see this word in my word problem. This is the word left. So I know I'm taking away, right? So Miss Daly told me that if I have a big whole number over here, I have a big number, then I'm going to count how many pieces are the smaller number and cross those out over here, right? So I have 1 piece here, and I will cross out 1 piece over here. Okay. And then I have 1 piece here, so I will cross that over here. Oops. Let me fix that so you can see the line, sorry. Okay, so now I can look and see I did all my pieces here and here. So how many are left? What's left over? Yeah, just 1, right? 1/4. If I have 3 and I take 1, 2 away, there's 1 left, right? And that's what we got right here. Man, you guys are so smart. All right, can you find the fraction 1/4 with your finger and touch it? Great job. Oh my goodness, kiss your brains. You're so smart. All right, which jar shows me 1/4? Let me try and move it over. You know, Miss Daly's really good at this. 1/4. 1/4. Which jar has one piece colored in and 4 all together? Great job, you guys. Oh my goodness, such hard workers. How we feeling? I feel more thumbs up this time. I feel, yeah, you guys are getting it, right? Okay, just did that one. So here is a practice one that we can make together. So this time we're gonna make our own problem. But first, we need to look at our choices, okay? So we have numbers that we can write in, right, for adding. So we're gonna add together. So let's pick which pizza we're gonna use. Now remember, we need to have the same looking pizza. So we either need to pick the cheese pizza or the pepperoni pizza. So if you want pepperoni, thumbs up. If you want cheese, thumbs down. Oh, I see lots of friends with thumbs up for cheese. Okay, so let's try cheese. Okay. Let's pick a whole pizza so we can count that and figure out how many pieces there are. How's that sound? Beautiful. So let's move our whole pizza here. And let's pick this one. How's that sound? Does that sound good? Okay, so let me zoom in now. Whoops, wrong way. Excuse me. So now we're going to count and figure out what our fraction is, just like we did on the other one, okay? So first I need to know how many pieces are in my whole. So let's count how many pieces are in my whole cheese pizza. Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Beautiful. Now, does my 6 go in the numerator or the denominator? Denominator. Very good, because that's my whole pizza number, right? Okay. Now, how many pieces of this whole pizza do I have? Yeah, I have 6, right? I already counted them, so I can put a 6 up there too. Okay. So now we're going to count how many pieces we have on this side, because remember, we already know our whole, so we can already put what number down here? Yeah, I can put a 6, right? Because Miss Daly told me that once I get my whole number, it goes all the way across. Okay. And Miss Daly actually changed her mind. I'm going to take this one off because now we counted how many whole pieces we have in the pizza. So we can pick a different piece to add together. What am I erasing? Okay, so we counted how many pieces. So now we can pick a different piece of cheese because we just needed that one to know how much our whole was, right? So let's take this away. And which other piece do you want to add on? Yeah, I think that's a good choice. Okay, so we have our 2 here. We have our pieces here, and then we have our pieces here. But we said that there were 6 in the whole, so I can move that all the way down because I know when I have a math sentence that once I find my denominator, it stays the same, right? Okay, now we need to figure out our numerators, how many we have all together, okay? So how many pieces do we have for this problem? Let's count together. Ready? 1 and 2. Great counting. So let's put our 2. And how many pieces do I have for this problem? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Beautiful job. I'm going to put a 4 here. And now I need to add these together. So I'm going to erase my dots that I already used because I need to count them all together by adding on. Okay. Are we ready to count? With your finger, I want you to touch where I'm putting my green dots so you can count with me, okay? Are we ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Oh my goodness. There's my 6. And I need to find the pizza that matches this. So which pizza has 6 pieces all together? Yeah, one whole, right? If I move this over, look what happens. It looks like one whole pizza, right? So I'm going to move my whole pizza there. And what do you know? We have made a whole math sentence together. How do you guys feel about that? Great job. Okay, we're gonna do one more. We're gonna do a subtraction one together, okay? So this one might be a little bit more tricky. Oops, it won't let me change it. But I'm gonna write over it. How's that sound? Oops. Miss Daly's gonna write over this. So I'm gonna make it a subtraction. I'm gonna cross this out because I wanna practice that with you guys too. So let me cross this out. And this time we're gonna use the pepperoni pizza. So erase these really quick. And when we're subtracting, we always want to start with our biggest piece. So we're going to pick our two pieces and we're going to put the bigger one in the beginning, in the first spot. Because remember, when you're taking away, you have to have the big number first, okay? So we're going to use our pepperoni pizza. Let's pick our big number first and then what we're going to take away, okay? So let's pick this one and then this one's smaller, so we'll pick that one, okay? You zoom it back in. Okay, so now we're subtracting, right? We're gonna subtract the numbers from each other, which means to take away. So first I need to figure out how many pieces are in one whole pizza, right? So let me see if I can pull a piece from over here to make one whole so I can count them. Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's see how many pieces are in one whole. Are we ready? With your finger, I want you to follow along and count. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Beautiful counting. So 4 goes in the numerator or the denominator? Good. Down on the denominator because that's how many pieces are in one whole, right? So now Miss Daly told me that I could just draw an arrow because this number does not change when I have a math sentence, right? So I'm gonna just write a 4 all the way across because there are 4 in my whole, the whole way across, right? All right, so now I need to know how many pieces I have in each problem. So how many pepperoni pizzas do I have in this one? Let's count, ready? 1, 2, and 3. Beautiful counting. So let's put our 3 in the numerator. And I'm going to go to the next one and put my dots and count. Ready? Follow with me. 1, 2. Beautiful job. Okay. Now remember, subtraction's a little tricky because I need to take pieces away, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross it out on this side. And every time I cross one on this side, I'm going to cross it on the other side, okay? So here's another one. I'm going to cross it out and cross it out. So I don't have any more. Now I have 0. So how many are left over? How many are left? Yeah, just 1, right? So I can put my 1 on the top. And I need to find 1 piece of pizza to put here a pepperoni so that I can show 1/4. All right, you guys did an amazing job today working on fractions. I love adding and subtracting fractions and looking at our keywords and using some crossing out methods and throwing together methods for all together. I hope you enjoyed fractions and I will see you on another lesson. Bye.